brothers and a bro fist to you all, you wonderful, bright, shining people out there. Hello. It is me, it is I, who has been playing the game. Yes. Seems weird, right? I've been playing the game. And having a great time doing it. Playing with friends. Weird. Not like me at all. No, I must stay alone in my castle. My castle upon high. And just look down upon this game. Just make videos constantly. It's been a great day and a half of playing the game and editing and doing all that cool stuff, which is why I got into this business in the first place. Really good. I have a couple of stories to tell you. Today is going to be a little bit story themed. Unlike most drama days, I'll be telling you a story from my past. We haven't really done a story time for a while. And thanks to the addition of the whiteboard to the gaming centre, I have a list of daily topics to cover. And then I was like, you know what? I haven't really covered one of my own stories for quite a long time. So I've got to do that today. I'm going to tell you a nice little drama story which is true and weird at the same time. I'm going to do all that for you. But first of all, 5.2 is here. People are settling in. One of the things I wanted to do today was actually go over what specs are doing really well. After the great rebalancing of 5.2. The great rebalancing of 5.2. I wanted to cover which specs were doing astronomically well and which were doing really badly. Unfortunately, the comparative logs aren't out yet, which is kind of a pisser. I was checking today to get my figures together, all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of like, I can't really do that yet without just picking and choosing, because there's a lot of things, a lot of guilds I've checked where the skill of the player has played a major factor. So we're going to wait till next week to do that and see if we can get these comparative logs out. A lot more people have raided, a lot more bosses in the Throne of Thunder, and we can kind of see what really good specs are shining right now. Of course, some of you have seen already, Blizzard has changed the specs again, one day after 5.2 has come out. They're rebalancing again. I just cannot understand how this has happened. They've rebalanced again, altering the percentages and the buffs and stealth nerfs. And so I saw a stealth nerf in there. It wasn't really a stealth nerf. They just told it straight up, we're nerfing your shit. And then they rebuffed other classes. How? How can this possibly be? How? How could they have got it wrong in the great rebalancing? The great rebalancing was unbalanced. Before we get into my story, I want to tell you another story where I was smashed in the face by the irony iron. Yeah, the irony iron. Try saying that really fast. It's not easy. The irony iron. I had one of the most ironic 5-man runs today. I've been practicing the Disc Priest. I want the Disc Priest guide to be good, accurate, all that kind of thing. So I've been training myself on Disc. Still a pretty unenjoyable spec. I'm going to say that. I still find it very inferior in terms of fun compared to Holy. But that's just me. That's just me. But I am, of course, training myself in discipline, in being a Disc Priest and making sure my guide is all up to scratch and that kind of stuff. So while doing this, I, of course, decided to heal some 5-mans and some LFRs, that kind of thing. LFR, it's kind of dog shit. Kind of dog shit for healing, but, you know, that's what we can access on our Disc Priest right now. So in the 5-mans, I encountered a rather interesting bunch of people where ninjaing seemed to be only bad in certain circumstances. Let me tell you my story. I decided I wanted to change off my Disc Priest for a few minutes and try out some other class. I actually said I was on Skype with Mr. Genji. And I said, I want to try something else for a few minutes. I just want to play something else. And I'm looking at my class list of all those level 90s. And I thought, I want to play my Hunter. I do. I want to play Survival. I haven't played Survival in a while. I leveled as BM. I want to play Survival. I want to play my Hunter for a bit. Why not? I want to get that big badass Hunter out and I want to play him. I played him yesterday in the Sunwell. And it was kind of cool. I had a good time doing it. I got a lot of burst out. Beat a lot of you on DPS. Just dinged, man. Kicking your ass. Kicking your ass, right? Yeah? 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 Remember. Don't fuck with me. I'll fuck you up. So, I got into there and I changed over to Survival. In my group is a Warrior Tank, a Restoration Shaman, me on my Hunter, a Death Knight, and a Mage. Good, solid setup. Okay? Nice little 5-man setup. Nothing weird about it at all. So I'm talking away on Skype and chilling and DPSing, and it's that boss, that dungeon. I don't know what it's called. It's the one with the big bug at the end where you stand and you shoot the weak spot. That one. You know what I mean? I don't know the names of the new heroics. It's that one. And so I'm in there and we're working our way down the platform to the first boss, which is the Bomberman boss. That's how I know the instance. It's the Bomberman boss with the bug at the end. That's that one. So we're working our way down the platform. Of course, Smoke Bomb versus my Hunter is really irritating, so I'm stood in melee with the tank. And everything's going swimmingly well. No big deals. We get to the first boss, Mr. Bomberman, and away we go. I'm topping the DPS. Pretty chuffed. DK has full heroic gear. I'm in greens. Blah, 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 blah. Storm the DPS. A solid 57k DPS from my BM Hunter in greens. Pretty good. Pretty good. I was pretty happy with that. And then, I noticed the ring that dropped was an agility mastery ring. Or agility crit mastery something. You know, agility ring, regardless. I was like, ooh, cool. Cool. I got a loot at my first heroic boss kill. That's pretty awesome. Press need. DK wins it. And I say on Skype, I'm like, how can a DK even roll on that? I didn't make a fuss. I didn't care. Losing loot? Yeah, right. I don't give a shit. And I said, I can't. How does DK even roll on that? How did they get the need option? The Restoration Shaman, though, took offense. Took offense. He was pissed. He was like, this is bullshit. And the warrior tank said, I'm not playing with a ninja, and left the group. He left the group in a storm. I didn't say a word. I didn't give a shit. But apparently, DKs can roll an agility game. The DK then goes completely ghetto, which is awesome. He goes completely ghetto and even used the words, my swag, gonna get that 11 Gs, bitches. That's what he said. Word for word. I always say I should film everything I do in World of Warcraft. 11 Gs, bitches. Swag. That's my swag. So, while waiting for another tank, the Restoration Shaman continues to berate said DK. Bear in mind, I was the one who lost the item, right? No one else could use it. It was the only benefit to me. I do inspect the DK, and he's equipped it, and he's saying, look at my swag. I don't know. So, we continue on. And we reach the elevator, which goes up to the second boss. Now, the Shaman purposely raises the lift, the elevator, whatever you want to call it, just before the DK arrives. I have to admit, I laughed hysterically. It was one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time, as he slowly approached the elevator, only to see that all the 4 other members, as you can imagine this DK was particularly slow and not very good at his class, rose up, and he forever alone remained at the bottom. But the tank, the new tank, who was a paladin tank, sent the lift back down and did not pull until the DK arrived. The DK did arrive. Off we go. We attack the boss. Nothing of interest drops. Somebody wins it. Cloth maybe. Something like that. And they let the DK die because the Restoration Shaman was of course pissed at this DK. And so we continue on to the bomber lane with the other boss. Right? You know that guy? So we activate the thing. The cutscene comes on. I, of course, like a trooper, press escape because the tank's bound to have pulled. Right? And of course he had, while the healer was watching the cutscene. Enjoyable cutscene, right? So off we go and we pull the next boss. Misdirect everything to the boss. Every time the ad spawn, I was all over it like a fucking trooper. His frost trap sound. All that cool jazz that you expect from me. And then, of course, the healing ring dropped. Healing ring dropped. The DK is still dead, by the way. Nobody rezzed him. So we 4-manned it. Healing ring dropped. Prop Paladin, of course, needs it. Which is fine, okay? It's fine. That's the rules of the game. Absolutely fine. Resto Shaman, at this point, loses his shit. Absolutely loses his shit. I can't believe there's so many ninjas in this World of Warcraft everywhere. Oh my god. Pally, I need ring. I really need it. I really need it. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? So he breaks into this big ninja war. Paladin doesn't say a fucking word. Absolutely ghosted. Doesn't say a word. Doesn't say a word. Paladin, cool as a cucumber, just rolls on to the next boss. Okay. This is where it gets cool. We get to the big bug. Nobody, of course, knows how to do the big bug. So I'm forever alone, stood on the back of this giant bug, shooting his weak spot. Owning the DPS, right? So I'm forever alone in the back, DPSing, shooting it, blah, 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 blah. And then the boss dies. What drops, you might ask? You might wonder. Melee, male, agility boots. Guess what, our Restoration Shaman, who had complained endlessly that he had been ninjaed. Or that ninjas were rife in World of Warcraft. Ninjas are everywhere, and they're ruining the game for everybody else. Shaman, of course, needs and wins the boots. And then he says, sorry, I really need those. And then leaves the group. It was the fucking hilarious. He didn't take revenge. I got ninja twice. I was laughing. I was like, oh, the irony. And he says, I'm really sorry, I need those boots. Left the group. It was fucking brilliant. The irony was swimming in this dungeon. And I was like, I just got ninja twice by people who complain about being ninja. Fucking brilliant. Absolutely awesome. What a great day. What a great day. Before we get into the story again, we did do the dailies today. We did do the dailies. I tried them out. I don't usually do dailies, but of course, new content. Got to check it out. What a strange place the Isle of Thundaaaaa is. What a strange place. Wonderful place if you happen to be on a balanced server, of which there aren't many. I imagine a lot of you right now on unbalanced realms, depending on which side you're on, are either having the time of your life or want to shoot yourself. Am I right? Some of you are having a really, really good time. Some of you are not. It's such a strange design, the Isle of Thundaaaaa. Although it's large, it's very, very cramped. Very cramped. There is some interesting architectural design, I would say. It looks very much like Thundaaaaa for me. The set out and the grey look and the kind of dull, misty feeling. It kind of reminds me a lot of Thundaaaaa. But very cramped. Lots of buildings, lots of things that fuck roots, right? That keep knocking you and moving you. Invisible quest givers. That was annoying at first. That was seriously annoying. But on Sylvanas, where we are, it is 90% Alliance, 10% Horde. And boy, do we fucking know it. Boy, do we know it. Because they are having a fucking field day at that island. That island is hell. Every time you try and tag something, you are, of course, visited by, like, I pwn your face, Battlemaster, I rock your socks, or Ponzor's lol, x lol, whatever it might be, or some other guy, some PvP hero. Interesting design. Not very well spaced out like Thundaaaaa is. Not very well spaced out. It's all very cramped, lots of fucking stuff going on. I don't particularly mind. I don't particularly mind being ganked there, but I imagine a lot of people are getting really pissed off. And this has got to be global. It's just odd design. It could have been amazing if it was spaced out. There's a lot of phasing that goes on, which is kind of interesting. A lot of interesting mechanics as well, like turning into the Sauroch and doing the giant jumps up the mountains and climbing trees and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of interesting extra drops that go on. I found it kind of odd. I did. I found it was a kind of interesting mix of what could have been awesome, but it's not designed around unbalanced realms, and most realms now are very, very imbalanced. Very, very imbalanced. There's not many realms that are of a 50-50 proportion whatsoever. I would have liked to have seen some more phasing, that there's only a certain amount of Alliance to Horde allowed in that kind of ratio. That would have made sense. More like Thundaaaaa was balanced around how many were in there. That could have made a lot more sense, and perhaps we'll see changes like that. But as it stands, really kind of awkward if you're on an unbalanced realm, and that's kind of alright. It's kind of okay. I expected it on Sylvanas, and you can tell your screen is filled with red. I wanted to do a little video of it. At some points there was at least 17 or 18 Alliance per mob camping rooms, especially for those trolls that you need to tag. You need to kill 2 of those speaker trolls. 17 or 18 Alliance. I mean, we saw easily mobs going up to around 9 or 11 million health with the new tagging system. Also, a lot of trolling with that as well. I went and did the dailies with Genji, and we saw a lot of people who were just dotting the mobs so its health would jump up and then just riding on by. just kind of trolling people like, oh, I'll dot this so its health goes up, or I'll just tag it and make its health go up and then riding on by. Kind of an interesting idea on griefing. But yeah, weird. Weird layout, weird setup, all that kind of stuff. Really, really crazy setup. So I want to see how it develops once the rush calms down. It is only the second day. I'm interested. I might even finish these dailies. I might. There's some interesting things I want to try out. I like the idea of having the 5-man bosses. All that kind of stuff really appeals to me, especially for someone who's done Ogralar in the past. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm just keeping on my radar for now. Okay, story time. You ready? This is a story of how a lady from a distant land got my phone number and almost ruined my relationship. You ready? You ready? You ready? Hope you're ready. Okay. Genji knows this story. Genji knows this story. I told Genji. Genji knew this was going on. I need to set the scene for you, as a good story should always have a context, okay? I need to set the scene for you. We're going back to the Burning Crusade. The Burning Crusade, if you are new to my channel, the Burning Crusade might not mean much to you. But for those of you who've been with me for a while, you will know the Burning Crusade was when I thought I was the best player in the world. It was when I was riding very high on my egotistical pony, on my big cloud of I am the win. It was the time that I was part of a guild called the Dark Light. A guild I founded and started at the beginning of the Burning Crusade and contained many wonderful people, friends, family, and the best players that I could steal. Actively stole them from other guilds just before the Burning Crusade came out. At the end of Vanilla, I went on a secret recruitment campaign where I spoke to good players who also knew me and told them I was starting a guild and they should leave their guild, which would destroy other guilds, and join mine, because it was going to be the best of the best. That was what it was supposed to be. That was my intention. Only people as good as me will join this guild. Behold my power and my convincing skills. So I did this. I recruited the best players I could find. Then included some really bad players who were close friends, which is fine. RH, talking about you, buddy. Talking about you, buddy, if you ever watch this. And we formed a guild called the Dark Light. Now, over the course of the Burning Crusade, of course, I sort of stepped down when I started raging too hard about progress and pushing too hard against some players who just wanted to play for fun. Along the way, I gave my guildmaster title to an alcoholic. Yeah, I did that. I gave the guildmaster title and control to an alcoholic who had also suffered some kind of head injury at one point, so he told me, and had fallen into a deep depression, and various times would lose what seemed to be the ability to speak coherently on Ventrilo. But he was an extraordinarily nice guy, and when he wasn't alcoholic or high on antidepressant drugs, was actually quite a reasonable to average player. He was a druid, and still a great guy. I had no problems with him whatsoever, or I wouldn't have given him the Guildmaster title. It would be stupid of me not to mention that I gave this person the Guildmaster title, knowing full well that he would give it me back anytime I asked. Right? Did you get that? Did you get that? I gave it him because I knew at any point if I said I wanted to be the Guildmaster again, he would instantly relinquish his command. You can't go ahead and give kind of Guildmasters to someone like Ghost, you know? You're not going to get it back. You're not going to get it back. I was, of course, an arsehole during these days. That's fine. We talked about this. We've been there. Along the way, I ventured away from the game. I ventured away from the game for a couple of weeks, and I changed my class to Warrior. We had gone through a number of tanks that were arseholes. I should point out by this point, I had re-rolled twice. I re-rolled a Holy Paladin with my friend, Mr. Ghost, after convincing him to change from Alliance to Horde, and we rolled Holy Paladins. I didn't enjoy the Holy Paladin. I could play it quite easily, but I didn't like it. And I changed to a Warlock, which was awesome. Affliction was very, very powerful at the time, and then Destruction became immensely powerful and remained that way until the end of the Burning Crusade, and I wanted a piece of that action. So I changed to a Warlock and enjoyed it quite a lot. But the Dark Light struggled with maintaining a solid main tank. We just could not get somebody who wasn't a prick. And that's really difficult. It's really difficult. We couldn't get a tank who wasn't a prick. So ultimately I ended up being the tank, which is kind of what I wanted to do. Overall, I wanted to be the tank. Tanking was still really difficult. So I became a warrior. While I was away, we recruited several people. Obviously, not being part of the game and stepping down and taking a break, I didn't have much of a say in who was recruited to the guild. So every time I logged in, there would be some kind of new face. And that was fine. I had no problem with that. At some point, we recruited a Shadow Priest. A Shadow Priest who was apparently a lady. Who was also from Russia. Russia. We'll call her Ivan to protect her identity. Because Ivan never once spoke on Ventrilo. Not once. Not once spoke on Ventrilo. Never once. Ivan, the lady Shadow Priest, was a medium to average player. Sometimes she did okay, but then she would die. And then it was kind of like she wasn't fitting quite well. But for the level of progress the Dark Light was having, she was okay. She was fine. She fitted in quite well. We were carrying a few players. There was no doubt about that. Our good players from the very beginning of the Burning Crusade have kind of moved on by then. Burnt out from how hard the Burning Crusade was. They were kind of burning out, and we were replacing them with whoever we could get. And somehow she fitted in. She got invited, and she was okay as a Shadow Priest. Never spoke. So, of course, the rumours circulated that Ivan was, in fact, a guy. Because a girl who doesn't speak, or says they're a girl, especially in the Burning Crusade, which was kind of newish girl gamers, was a weird thing. So everybody suspected that Ivan was a guy. The name was actually quite feminine, and it was a female Blood Elf priest. Yay! Right? Right? So, a female Blood Elf priest, and I suspected that it was actually a girl. As much as many guys were like, oh, we think this is a guy. I think she's a guy. I thought it was kind of a girl. Female Blood Elf priest, very ladylike name, and didn't speak. Kind of shyness. I thought it was definitely I thought it was a chick. Anyway, coming towards the end of the Burning Crusade, of course, the Dark Light didn't really want to push for the Black Temple or the Sunwell. They weren't interested. They weren't interested at all. They were done. My friends were done. And my friends were all officers. And by this time, lots of people had left. There weren't many left from the original crew, which usually happens when you start some sort of new super guild. There weren't many left. There was just a few friends left, and they weren't interested in playing anymore. They didn't want to push anymore. They were quite happy to do a couple of raids a week and go on. But of course, me, being Mr. Hero, was ready to do more. In which case I decided and told them, and we had a great send-off, that I was leaving the guild and leaving the server. I was going off to pursue and try and get some top world rankings. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. So I did. And I told them, and it was fine. Don't burn your bridges when you leave a guild. Tell them what's going on. And they were fine. They were okay with it. Main tank's leaving, it's fine. I tanked for a good 7-8 months and stayed around and attended nearly 99% of raids. I'd done everything I could possibly do. I was like the raid leader and stuff. So off we went. We had a good send-off. We had a party led by Mr. Ghost in his drunken state, which we might try and recreate at some point instead of the drunken web show. So off I went to the new guild, which was Kill Count Lost. My favourite ever guild ever in World of Warcraft. It was absolutely a blast. And here is when my ego got crushed. My ego got crushed very quickly by meeting a really good tank, as some of you will know. And I was working really hard to be impressive. I wanted to be impressive. I wanted to be an impressive player. I wanted to do my best. So, gradually, I kind of got to know the GM and other tank, which was cool. And we got to be the best of friends. We still text each other today. I texted him yesterday. And we were good friends. One day, an application appears on the Kill Count Lost forums. It's none other than Ivan. Ivan has applied to Kill Count Lost. Apparently my previous guild had stopped raiding once I left, because I was the raid leader and main tank. We kind of knew this might happen, but they were fine with it. But an application appeared on the Kill Count Lost forums, and it was Ivan. And I saw it, and I shit my pants. And of course, being now a reasonably respected member of Kill Count Lost, I was asked my opinion of Ivan. Kill Count Lost was in desperate need of a Shadow Priest. We had one extremely good Shadow Priest by the name of Zero, who was, and probably would still be, if he still played, one of the best in the world. But we had no one else. We needed another Shadow Priest. They were mana batteries. I don't know if you realise how powerful the Shadow Priest was in the Burning Crusade. You wanted at least 2, if not 3 Shadow Priests to be feeding mana to your healers. Well, to your Resto Shamans. Get shit on other healers. You needed Shadow Priests for your Resto Shamans to spam chain heal. Wonderful little system. And so that mages and warlocks could continue to DPS without doing things like get mana back. So, it was the odds like this. What is your opinion of Ivan? She's not very good. That's what I said. I said she's not very good. I don't really endorse her. I've played with her in the past. I don't really think you should recruit her. Of course, what happens? A couple of days later, Ivan has joined the guild. Ivan has joined the guild. Now, this is where it gets a little bit weird, because a lot of you are thinking, she followed me. Ivan didn't say a word to me for about 3 months. At least 3 months. Until we were balls deep inside the Sunwell. Until our testicles were rubbing the inside of the Sunwell. She never spoke to me. And then at one point we ended up in a 5-man together. I can't think for what possible reason. Some sort of guild 5-man. Could you tank for me? Yes. Sure. Fine. I kind of think that... I don't know what it was. I suspected she'd followed me. And then we got into talking and she went, oh, you were in the past guild, the Dark Light. I was like, yeah, I was the raid leader. She said, I don't remember you. I was the raid leader in the main tank. Didn't remember me. No idea who I was. Never heard of you before, and I certainly didn't move here because you were there. You can imagine my reaction. Doesn't sound that believable. But she swore, I don't remember you in the least. I don't remember you at all. That's not why I'm here. I was like, oh, I thought you came along. I said something along the lines of, I thought you came here because you wanted to play in the same guild I was in. She was like, no, I don't know who you are. I don't remember you at all. I was like, oh, I was like the main tank and the raid leader. The only one, the one talking on Vent all the time. Oh, I don't really listen to Ventrilo was the answer. Because I don't really like Ventrilo because I'm Russian. My English isn't very, very good anyway. Alright, that's a bit weird. As I moved on to being sort of a semi-helper raid leader and stuff, I was granted officer access in Kill Count Lost, and one of the requirements of that was your phone number, because the officers like to take things very seriously. I don't know if you realise how serious the top-end guilds take things, but they take it very seriously to the point where they want to talk to you even if you're not in game. They want to send you messages, they want you to be aware of any changes that are happening, get your opinion on things. So your phone number was kind of a required thing. If, of course, you move into the top 10, you're generally... part of your process of being in the guild will be to give your phone number. That's kind of normal. Every single raider puts their phone number in a forum. It's pretty easy. So my phone number ended up on the Kill Count Lost officer forums to be contacted. Cool. Things went on kind of well for a little while. Things went on kind of well. We got on. Occasionally we did 5-mans together. I kind of forgot about the past. And you do. After a while, you kind of forget about the past. It was a non-issue. We kind of spoke about it. She said she didn't really remember me, blah, 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 blah. I didn't quite believe it at the time, but whatever. And you forget about the past. You forget that this is a person who's come from the same guild you previously led and is now in this guild. So it was all going kind of well. Occasionally, I'd started getting whispers. But I got a lot of whispers. That's something to bear in mind here. I want this to be in context. This is no way anything that I was trying to pursue. I have no interest in ever being with another woman ever. I started getting whispers from her, but I also got a lot of whispers from everyone. I was, one of the tanks. I was like a big guy. People were whispering me constantly, but she never whispered me before. Never in history. But after we kind of spoke about the past, she did start sending me some whispers, and I replied, as you do. No big deal whatsoever. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm busy now, which is my usual response. As most people realise now, if they're in Stark Industries and they whisper me while I'm online, if I'm online in WoW, it's because I'm doing something. It's because I'm doing something. So people often whisper me, do you want to do this? Do you need help with this? It's like, no, I'm fine. I'm doing something. I logged on to do it. I've always been that way since around the Burning Crusade. I've never been one to stand around in like Orgrimmar and chat to people or just be online for the social aspect. I don't play the game that way. I log in when I have something to do. So when people whisper me, I'm kind of like, I'm busy, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm doing something. No, do you want help? No, I'm doing this. Or just, in general, if I'm filming, I don't even reply these days because I'm filming something. I'm doing something. I'm trying to demonstrate something for a video. So getting whispers and stuff was fine. No big deal. I didn't always reply, and when I did reply very, very quickly. And everything seemed okay, right? I didn't suspect that there was anything weird about this. As I say, I treat girls as I treat guys in World of Warcraft. I've always done that, because of my raiding goals. I don't give a shit if you're a guy, a girl, if you have nothing. I don't give a fuck. I want you to perform in a raid. That's it. That's all I care about. I'm not looking to have sex with anybody. Anywhere. Real life or in WoW. I don't give a shit if you have breasts. Doesn't matter. So I didn't think anything of this. I think we'd had a little conversation, and therefore she'd found the ability to just whisper me every now and again. Will you help me do this? That kind of thing. She's a Shadow Priest. Can we do a dungeon? Can we do whatever? And usually I would say no. Because I'm me. I don't care. As a tank in the Burning Crusade, you had everything you possibly needed faster than anybody else in your entire guild, which was kind of a pain in the ass. because you then had to drag every other motherfucker through all the content as well. So if it beat heroic reputations, a tank in the Burning Crusade, which I was, had that faster than anybody else. So what you would have is something like me, Erebus, the other tank, and this feral druid, who was really bad, and I can't remember his name because he was fucking diabolical. I hope he doesn't play WoW anymore. The fuck was that guy's name? Yowl? I want to say he was called Yowl. I don't mind naming and shaming him. That guy fucking sucked. I hated him. And me and Erebus both hated him. And when he got replaced and left the guild, it was the best day ever. Prick. I think he even took Cursed Vision of Sergaras off Genji. Because he was kind of more entitled to it. Prick. Prick. What a fucking asshole. So there was 3 tanks. We had everything. And it wasn't because of anything other than we had to drag everyone else through it. So if there was a group needed, like our Romani Warbears, me and Erebus got them in like the first week of it coming out, running everybody else through it. Reputation, we had everything. So when it came to later in the game, do you want to do a heroic? The answer was usually, fuck no. Do you know why? I've done it a million times. I've done it a million times. And later, when heroic badges were more involved, what we had was the other guilds whispering me and Erebus to do the dungeons for them, because their tanks couldn't handle it. They weren't fast enough. They weren't quick enough. They weren't geared enough. Can you come and help us? No, we wouldn't do that. So even when guildies asked me on occasion, I'd be like, no, dude, I'm not doing it. I even had an alt on the server that was ungilded that I would play, and nobody knew about it. I think Genji knew about it and some other people. So, just a couple of other people who wouldn't ask me to do anything knew about my alts. They were ungilded and hidden from the guild. Because if I logged on, I would get whispered all the time. Do you understand? Getting whispers from people was the norm. To be spammed almost as soon as you logged on if you were a tank in the Burning Crusade. That's what happened. As soon as you logged on, you were spammed. So I literally had to make an alt to hide from the guild. A lot of people did that. A lot of tanks did that. We had hidden characters. Yeah, Real ID gonna fuck you up. Real ID gonna fuck you up now. Real ID, you can't hide from anybody these days, especially now for me with a full Real ID. That's not what's happened. But back then, you could hide out on alts and only a couple of people would know about it. And that was kind of cool. So getting whispers wasn't odd, and I didn't think anything about it. It was pretty normal. I seemed to be the only person that she spoke to. That I did notice. I did notice I seemed to be the only person. And it had taken her nearly a year to be able to whisper somebody. I'm talking about someone so shy, she never spoke on Ventrilo. She turned up for every raid. And if you're in the... Is anybody from Russia? Anyone from Russia? In the chat. I want to know if there's anybody from Russia. People who raid in Russia in the EU realms raid really, really late. So while me might think it's late to finish at 11 or 12 p.m., it's like 3 or 4 a.m. or something for the Russians. And we didn't even pay attention to that. We didn't really notice that at all. We just didn't notice that how late she was raiding, and then she would go to work the next day. So she was telling me about this stuff, and I didn't appreciate it. I was like, oh, okay. No, I didn't realise that. So she's like, oh, it's like 3 a.m. for me, because we'd push maybe an extra hour on the Eridar twins or Muru the Naru. And she'd be like, oh, it's 3 or 4 a.m. for me. And I'm like, oh, really? Jesus, I don't really appreciate that. I think it's really late. It's midnight, you know what I mean? So we would continue, like, this kind of discussion would go on. One day, Ghosty is at my house. And I hadn't been online for a couple of days. When I was online for the day before, I think it went something like, I think it was a Saturday, Ghosty was at my house. Thursday and Friday, I hadn't logged on. On Wednesday, I had been online and we hadn't raided, but I hadn't responded to any whispers because I was busy and I didn't want to do any dungeons or help people do anything. I just didn't feel like it, right? I'm not obligated to help anybody do anything. Apparently, she had been whispering me quite a lot. I hadn't even fucking noticed. I get a lot of whispers. It was no big deal at all. I just was like, not asked. I was busy doing something. I think I was farming consortium rep. Why not? It was one of the few opportunities if we weren't raiding that I got to respec, because we only had one spec and it was expensive. So I changed to Fury or something like that, and I was off in my tank gear, dual wielding, doing my farming as Fury, getting my consortium rep. And that's what I was doing, something along those lines. Friday evening comes, me and Ghost have been out on the drink, having a good time, and now we'd come back to probably play some WrestleMania or something on the N64, whatever it might have been at the time. And suddenly my phone rings, my mobile phone, and it's a blocked number. So I look at it, And I was with Emma at the time. We were together, but Emma wasn't at my home. I was still living with my parents. And so we were upstairs in my parents' room. But because I had been out with Ghosty, I was supposed to have been with Emma that night. I was supposed to have been with Emma. But because me and Ghosty had been out and Emma doesn't like it when I get really drunk, she doesn't like it, especially back then. Especially back then, she didn't like it. I got apparently very obnoxious and loud, which you can't really imagine, right? So me and Ghosty were together playing games, and suddenly my phone goes, and I was supposed to be with Emma. The phone goes, and it's a hidden number, and I answer it. I'm like, hello? Drunk, whatever. And this quietest little voice, as if from like the other side of the room, went, is that Mike? In this, I'm not going to do a Russian accent. Is that Mike? But it was a lady. Is that Mike? And I'm like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? He's like, yeah. Who's this? And after like a while, she's like couldn't hear me, and she's going, is that Mike? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is really weird. And Ghost's looking at me, and then she goes, it's Ivan. I'm like, whoa. And there's a point there where my brain melted. My brain literally just exploded in my head. And I don't know what to do it. I don't know what to say. I'm like, how the fuck? There's so many things going through my head right now that I just cannot possibly work it out. How has this occurred? How am I holding my phone against my head and this girl from Russia is fucking speaking to me? How has this happened? How has this happened? And I'm like, what's wrong? And she says, can you log in? I'm like, no, I'm busy. I'm like, what? How did you get this number? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were ignoring me. And that's when it happened. That's when it dawned on me, is that she'd been whispering me, and she kind of figured that something was in the fucking works here. And I was like, what the shit? And then I start like looking around for Emma. I know Emma's not here, but I'm like, where? What if Emma heard this conversation? How would I explain out of this? I'm like, don't ever ring me again. And I really freaked out in a sort of panicked sort of 15-year-old kind of fashion, which is like, never ring me again. Get the fuck away from me. Don't call me. Don't speak to me. Boo! Put the fucking phone down. Instantly terrified. I was like, I don't understand how this has fucking happened whatsoever. So weird. So weird. And all I started to panic about is, how the hell do I tell Emma about this? What the hell do I do? So I talked to Ghost, who was, of course, a flood of help. He was like, that's fucked up, dude. You know the advice that your friends give you? Yeah, that's kind of fucked up, dude. What are you going to do about it? Well, I don't know. I'm kind of talking to you. What the hell? That's why I'm asking you, Ghost. He looks at me drunk and he's like, I don't know. That's pretty fucked up. That's pretty fucked up. So we debated for about 20 minutes until we we logged into WoW. It was the only thing we could do. And she's there. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And this turns into like this Dawson's Creek conversation about how she thought I was ignoring her and done something wrong. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in this situation where suddenly, usually a person of the opposite sex or someone who has a sort of, an interest in you in that way, suddenly starts bombarding you with stuff that's really weird and you're not even aware of it. And that's the scary part. You're not even aware there was a thing. Or that there might be a thing. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I found out that for fucking laughs, for shits and giggles, Erebus had give her my phone number because he thought it would be fucking hilarious. She'd asked him and he had done it. Motherfucker. Never trust your fucking friends. And he thought it was the funniest thing he had ever heard of in his entire life. That she actually called. She had asked him if she knew my number or my MSN or something, and he had fucking give it to her. And he thought it was really, really funny. Shit could have cost me my relationship, man. I might not be having a child right now because of that. God damn, it's such a weird situation. So weird. And it stuck with me for a while. I was terrified of logging into WoW. When I saw her online, I mean, if this has ever happened to you in IRL, I've got another story about when this actually happened in IRL, which is kind of cool, involves a smashed door. You get really, really freaked out. when you see this person, and you have to see them because they're generally part of your life. So in the IRL version, I was working with this person. In this situation, it was like they're online in game. Are they in Ogrimmar? I can't go to Ogrimmar now. I can't. I'll have to go to Thunderbluff. It's like I have to avoid this person. Like I'm going to bump into them on the street, and they're going to be like, "Oh, there you are. This is awkward." Which is World of Warcraft, right? We just ride past on mounts. It's no big deal. But you feel that way. You feel like you can't actually do anything. You can't go past them. You can't be anywhere near them. Oh, they're invited to the raid. Jeez, need to hide my fucking face. Oh, this kind of stuff is. Oh God, what if she whispers me? And it ended quite badly, which is the sad part. Is that she wasn't very good. Getting back to this, she wasn't a very good player. And Erebus was kind of like me. He didn't give a shit if you were a boy or a girl. There was no, oh, well, you're a girl gamer or anything. He didn't give a shit. You were a gamer. That's it. And he decided he was going to kick her. He was going to kick her. And I logged in one day and she'd been kicked. I was so fucking happy. And that feels really horrible, but I was really happy that she was gone. Because I couldn't tell anybody. But Erebus knew. Ghost knew. That was about it. But I logged in and she'd been kicked. I'm like, where is she? She's gone. She's gone. We've kicked her. We've kicked her. We've kicked her. Ooh, focus. There we go. And I was kind of like, that's really good news. That's really good news. I was like, oh. But she fucking complained, you know, to be a casual member of the guild, just friends. Now she's going to get better. All this kind of stuff. And she came back. She returned. Ivan was back as a friendly, casual member of the guild. And that whisper came that day. It came and you knew it was coming. You knew it was like... It's like when you've got your hand in a box and you know there's a fucking snake in there and that bitch is going to bite you at some point. Every time I logged in, I fucking knew that whisper was coming. It might not be today. It might not be in a week. It might not be in a goddamn month. But that whisper is coming. And it starts with a C. It's the worst. It's the worst 3 words in the fucking world. And any guy, my brothers, out there will know that when your partner says to you, can we talk? Shit's about to hit the fucking fan. And I knew that whisper was coming, man. I fucking knew it was coming. I could see it. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, man, I know it's coming. And I was logging. I'm like this. It's going to happen. It's going to fucking happen. It's going to be, can we talk? I know she's going to ask me. I'm fucking looking at my screen, man. I'm trying to tank Muru. I've got to disarm these ads. I've got a spell reflect. And any fucking moment, this whisper's going to come. And then you just kind of leave the room. You're just like, no, I can't deal with it. I'm fucking going. I know it's going to happen. And then it happened. And then it happened. Can we talk? And you know what I said? Like a bloke. No. I couldn't deal with it. I'm not going to do it. No, it's not fear. It is the best way to deal with that situation. Can we talk? No, we cannot. No, we cannot. No. End of fucking story. And then she left the guild. Which I kind of feel bad about, but there's a stage when it goes too far. If you're calling someone from Russia, right? And they're not expecting your call, and you know they have a girlfriend, it's when it went too far. Okay? You brought it on yourself. Brought it on yourself. But there you go. That's my little drama story. I have about 100 of these little tiny stories that aren't really about serious World of Warcraft stuff. But I thought it was about time I shared one with you. We get a lot of boy-girl stuff in the Drama Friday. It's about time I did my own little drama story for you. But that was pretty scary. I will tell you the story of the girl who smashed the door. Maybe I can bring Emma in on that one. Emma was a good part of that story. Emma was a great part of that story. It's probably in the stream right now. Maybe. No hard feelings, but it was weird. And if you, hopefully you look back on it if you are in the stream and you know it is weird. I'm not going to do another drama story today. I'm going to cook. I'm going to cook because apparently Emma's in a bad mood. I want to precurse you for tomorrow. The stories that I have. 2 account sellers, 4 servers, 1 home. Elamaru's travels. Cops aren't safe in World of Warcraft. The drama situation. Could have been better. Misdirection. The Hunter's Wrathcast. What else have we got there? What's that one? So many PDFs. Oh my god. The Leech King can suck my dick. Oh my god. Holy shit. I've got one that comes in 4 PDFs. And they're all 330k each. Holy shit. I'm going to have to read all that. Oh my god. Oh, but look. It comes in colour. 4 PDFs. And look at that. It comes in colour. It's all nice and spaced out. Pretty good. So it's Drama Friday tomorrow. A little warm up for you there. Next week we're going to be looking at what the classes are currently doing for the dailies. What is your best spec? What is more prominent at the moment? All that kind of stuff. We're going to be reviewing that next week as the raiding week comes to an end and seeing how 5.2 has really affected the classes overall. I'm really looking forward to doing that. It's kind of a nerd out for me and all that kind of good stuff. Alright guys? So, that is the end of today's daily. I hope you enjoyed my little drama story. I'm not immune to the drama. It happens. I've been there and done that. And I will see you tomorrow. I know I haven't done a Q&A, a proper one, for a while. We might do that on Monday. I know a lot of people have got questions for me. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. So have a good day. It'll be really good. See you.